Thank you, Ed.
Are we calling the
Yes, I'm calling the meeting to order.
The meeting to
We'll
order.
We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you.
All right. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
to the republic which it
stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible, and with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and I'll do roll call.
Thank you, Shannon.
Jane Flanagan.
Here.
Felix Raimondo.
Here.
Kyle Elliott. Janine Riley. Carol Smith.
Here. Okay, Ed, is there anyone that's on the WebEx in terms of public comment? Any other community members?
There is not.
Okay. I will take a few seconds. I'll do the chairperson minutes. I don't have much to say. I would just like we're all getting fatigued with COVID, Ed. So the only thing I wanted to do is reiterate, please keep our policies in place. Please instruct our workers, our fellow workers, to be safe and in the break room and wash down, hand gel, the whole 9 yards. The next 2 months from everything that is predicted that I've been able to read is going to be very serious. So just be vigilant, and I appreciate that you do that. That's all I have. So we will go into executive session, Mike, and go into the Zoom.
Yep, I think that's the plan. So Ed can pause this, and then
everybody
everyone go over to the Zoom. And again, I'd recommend that you mute your microphones here, and maybe
Either
even
mute or
stop
log
your
out.
videos, or log out. Yep. You stop recording, Ed?
Yeah, I think Kyle's waiting, and I'm going to let him into this meeting before I stop it.
Okay. And then he can just go right back out to the other meeting.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the board has just returned from executive session, where it discussed several personnel matters.
Okay, so we left off, I believe, at the approval of the minutes. If does anyone have any questions over the previous minutes? If not, do I hear a roll call to approve the minutes?
Make
a motion to approve the minutes. Sorry.
I'll second it.
Okay, all approved, say aye. Aye. So
Aye. Aye.
And Shannon, you will take roll call.
Jane Flanagan.
Yes.
Felix Raimondo.
Yes.
Kyle Elliott. Carol Smith.
Yes. Okay, and we're going to go on to the financial report. Does anyone have any questions about the financial report for this month? Ed, do you want to speak to the sludge charge? I thought that might come up. I thought you were going to speak to that when we talked.
Oh, okay. As far as the billing.
Yeah, because I think there was a double bill on this one that you had mentioned earlier.
Yes.
Last week you had mentioned it, and I just would like you said you were going to speak to it. So.
Yes, okay. Yeah, there was some kind of a mix-up with the bill where we received 2 bills this month, and one was actually for the month before. And there was a little confusion, so I wasn't sure what Linda was trying to explain to me, and then Shannon was able to explain it to me a little better. So basically, we have 2 bills, but the one bill is for the prior month. And the reason for that is sometimes their bills come in the beginning of the month, and depending on where our meetings, it's like now we're kind of in the early stage of the month, being the 24th, rather than some meetings where at the absolute end of the month.
Right.
So sometimes the bills kind of don't line up right.
We've seen this before. I just didn't know. Oftentimes in the past, when we've seen these two bills, people have asked about it. So we have seen this before with the billing, and I just wanted to thank you for speaking to this. I just wanted to let you know it's something that we've been working at with the sludge, that the billing does come on this time basis, and often in our budget we'll see this. So that was the only thing I noticed on the bill. Does anyone else have any questions on this month's bills? If not, I make a motion to pay the bills in the amount of $104,836.02.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And
Aye.
Shannon, you will take a roll call, please.
Okay. Jane Flanagan,
Aye.
Felix Raimondo,
Aye.
Kyle Elliott, Carol Smith.
Aye.
Okay, before we approve the financial report, you wanted to talk about the computer.
Yes, that is true. I would like you to discuss what you found
Okay.
about this. Just to give folks a background, I don't know if we need to review this, but because of the COVID, Shannon needs to work at home. We need to provide her with that opportunity. That being said, she needs to have a secure computer system. We've gotten feedback on ours on the laptops, so Shannon has been working with our IT guy to set up a solution that will be secure for the borough.
Okay, so he suggested to have Vinny's computer upgraded, which is a desktop computer, because Harris does not work well with laptop computers. So he said there would be no way to dock a laptop at home and at the office because it's not stable enough. So he wants to redo Vinny's computer, and the total cost to do that, get 2 monitors and a mouse and keyboard, on the low end is $544, and on the high end is $664.
What would Vinny use? Would that would that computer go to your house, and then would Vinny have access to something else?
Yes, Vinny is going to get a new computer
Okay.
because of the programs that he has on there.
Which would be the GIS system, and it needed to be upgraded. He was the last one still on, I believe, Windows 7.
And do we have a cost for his upgrade?
I don't believe we do yet.
Okay. But that's something that, I mean, considering the GIS systems and everything moving forward, that needs to be upgraded to stay compliant with, I would believe, upgrading any of our GPS data.
Why don't we just get this in a package deal for our computer, our needs on our technology upgrades? Put a package deal together, and we say anything under $5,000, just go ahead and move forward and get it done.
Well, that's what they were doing. That's why I had Shannon work with the IT guys
Right.
to do exactly that. That's what they
Yeah,
were
but
doing. So
we're going to do Shannon's, and then we're going to come back and do Vinny's. Why don't we just do whatever technology we need under $5,000, go ahead and get it done.
well, agreed. But I think moving forward, you can move forward with that plan for Vinny's. That's incredibly reasonable to get that done, and then get the quote together for Vinny's upgrade.
Okay.
Okay. I just find upgrading computers, just buy a new one. They're disposable. You get 3 years out of one, you can move on. But go ahead.
I can ask him for a quote for a new one.
Sure. Go ahead, Shannon, because quite frankly, for a desktop monitor these days, Acer or Lenovo, they're very reasonable.
Okay.
But I do try to watch our budget.
Is that everything on the financial report?
Yes.
Do I hear a motion to accept the financial report?
I'll make a motion.
Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Kyle Elliott,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yep. Okay, Fred, you're up.
I think the solicitor is actually up before me. I can do it though.
I think it's the solicitors. My mistake. Fred, you're not
So
up. Mike?
we have three potential action items for you this evening. One which we'll hold off on until after Fred's report because it involves potentially approval of a resolution establishing a policy for correction of the EDUs. So we can wait until after Fred gives his report and then revisit it because Fred's mostly gonna touch on that issue. We have just a couple of other things to report. As our last meeting, we were asked to review the matter of 126B West 8th Street, which is the resident who is requesting a reduction in their EDUs. We've gotten some confirming information from the borough. We're waiting to get some additional information. We're waiting to be able to do an inspection. The property owner has an attorney, so we're coordinating the inspection with the attorney. We have a hearing scheduled for December 8th. If we can get the inspection done beforehand, we may be able to call off the hearing. If we can't get the inspection done beforehand, we'll just agree to postpone the hearing until we can get that resolved, and then we'd be able to proceed under the potentially the new EDU new EDU policy. So that's just a one update other than the action items. And as I said, we'll go through the EDU policy this evening. The first action item we have this evening is the approval of a resolution authorizing the finance director to execute payment plan agreements. And again, I think this was previously discussed, so it would allow Shannon to sign off on the payment plan agreements. So a motion to adopt this resolution would be in order.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Shannon?
Okay, Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo, Kyle Elliott,
Yes.
Carol Smith,
Yes.
and Felix, I didn't hear you say yes.
Sorry, I said yes.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry.
The second action item we have is the approval of a sanitary sewer easement for the property located at 447 East 9th Avenue. The property owner is Patricia, and I'll probably butcher this last name a little bit, Wakilso. I think maybe hopefully I'm saying that correct.
Wislow.
So I guess what was that?
It's Wislow.
Wislow. Well, somebody put an extra C in mine, so that's what was throwing me off. So, and I guess if you want some details, Ed or Fred would be better giving you the details of this easement. So, but we would need a motion to approve this easement.
I would make a motion to approve that easement.
I second.
I'll second it.
Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Kyle Elliott,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Carol, you're muted.
Thank you.
Carol, you're still muted, and you haven't voted.
Yes, I'm sorry. I didn't know my trigger figure was quite that good.
So how do you vote? Okay.
Am I?
Yes.
2020 cannot be over soon enough.
And as I said, the only other potential action item we have this evening is after Fred discusses the policy, or we both discussed a policy regarding a correction of the equivalent dwelling unit. So that resolution will be after Fred's report.
That sounds great. Thanks, Mike. Are there any other questions or concerns?
No.
Do I hear a motion to accept the solicitor's report?
So
Make a
moved.
motion. Second it.
Hannigan,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Kyle Elliott, Carol Smith.
All right. Fred, now you are up.
Now I'm ready to go. So, and I appreciate Mike's intro into that. The first policy, we were asked to address two policies issues at the last board meeting. The first one is a policy for the correction of equivalent dwelling units. And this is really to enable staff to be able to take requests for EDUs. And the background on this is, when we did the EDU audit in West Conshohocken, we sent out letters certifying or allocating capacity to all the users and all the customers in West Conshohocken. Now that we're billing people based on water usage, some people have come forward and stated that they no longer are a single family in an apartment complex or in an apartment, so they've asked for an adjustment. So rather than have to bring this back to the board for each and every individual one, we're asking for the board to establish a policy to enable the authority staff to work with the authority consultants to be able to make these adjustments and then inform the board. The policy basically would be is we would receive and the written policy was given to you as a resolution, as a potential resolution for your consideration. We would basically receive a request from the property owner to review the number of EDUs assigned. First step is we would review the water records for 8 quarters. We would then, based on that, the engineer would make a recommendation on the number of EDUs. We would go and research with the respective borough the use and occupancy certificates related to the property, property inspections, any permits that will be issued to verify that it is in fact an error that was made in the assignment of the EDUs. The consulting engineer would issue a recommendation to the staff for the property. And if the recommendation is for a reduction in EDUs, that the customer would accept the recommendation upon the agreement, and that they would then be reduced in accordance with that. They would have 30 days. They would basically sign the letter acknowledging that there is a reduction in EDUs, and that there would be, in no event would the authority be purchasing back some capacity, and they would relinquish all rights to that capacity moving forward. And this is basically just to correct, issues that may arise and conflicts between the borough's records and what's actually out there in the field, or the authority's records and what's actually out there in the field. And then if there's anything that is not normal and would be directly followed by this policy, we would bring it back to the board for consideration, or something that the authority staff did not feel comfortable with. But if the authority staff and consultants feel comfortable to streamline it and enable that, we're asking the board to establish a policy for the authority staff to perform their job. Are there any questions from the board?
I have no questions, Fred. I mean, you were pretty much directed to do this. And for me, this is a mark of efficiency and in the functioning of the authority for these types of requests.
Kyle, I concur.
I agree.
Agreed.
So do you, at this point, Mike, are we going forward with this resolution at this point, or no? You're muted. You've got my disease. There you go.
Yeah.
Mike, do we do the resolution at this point? I believe we do. One finger for yes, two fingers for no.
I'm going to go with one finger, Carol.
Can
Okay.
people hear me?
Yes, we can hear you,
I can
Mike.
hear you, Mike. Yeah.
Can someone wave their hand if they can hear me?
Yes.
All right, I can't hear anybody. Everything is coming through very garbled right now.
Huh.
Wait. Now I think it's back. I apologize. It just started sounding very garbled.
It's the nature of these meetings.
Yep.
We
Well-
asked if this was the appropriate time to go through the EDU resolution now that Fred just went over it for us.
Certainly. It would be
Okay,
the
that's-
appropriate time to review it.
So we
You
should
do
make,
have a copy of
Fred, can you, I'll let you speak. I'll mute.
Yeah, Mike, we did review it while you were gone. So now I think they're asking you to present it so that they can vote on it. And they have already approved the concept and for you to bring it forth for a vote.
Okay. Thank you. And again, I apologize. I have this little thing popping up on my screen. We detected that you are connected to a new audio device and recommend that you test it to make sure it works. I've never seen that notice before. So we have prepared for your consideration this evening a resolution of the Borough of Conshohocken Authority establishing a policy for correction of equivalent dwelling units. Whereas the whereas clauses are the basis for the reason that all know that why we're doing this. And then I think the enumerated paragraphs 1 through 5, Fred went through as far as what would be part of the policy. I think this is fairly consistent with what has been discussed previously and what you've been trying to implement. I think Fred putting this together is consistent with what the law, what he and Lauren put together is consistent with the law. And if you will adopt it, it will become the policy of the authority regarding correction of EDUs.
So do we need a motion, Mike?
Yeah, motion to accept resolution number, and I don't know what number we're up to right now. Shannon may have, or Ed may have that information.
I should have written it. It's in my notes. Do I hear a resolution? Do I hear a motion to adopt the EDU resolution that was prepared by Fred for our borough?
Do we have a copy of the resolution?
I think it's in the packet, right?
I believe so. I believe
it's
it
in
was.
there's 39 pages of the engineering report.
It's actually not in the engineering report. It was a separate attachment. I believe that was there. There were a number of attachments, but this resolution was one of them, as well as the comprehensive EDU assessment policy.
It's in the final section of the borough of our meeting agenda. It's the final section. It's in the book, in the booklet.
Should also be on the Dropbox.
It is in our, it's in our packet. So
I don't see it on Dropbox. Am I wrong?
I'm not sure I see it there either.
Shannon, packets go out to everybody? Because I got a packet.
Not everybody wanted packets.
Okay,
So I
because
don't
it's in,
think
it is,
Ed
It is in the packet, so I'm surprised it's not in the Dropbox. I didn't check the Dropbox because I just read
It
my
should
packet.
be in the Dropbox.
I'm looking on Dropbox here. Hold on. It should be 5C1 EDU assessment policy. 5C.1 EDU assessment policy on the Dropbox.
5D.
5C.
5C is the engineer's report.
Yeah, .1.
That's the comprehensive EDU policy, isn't it, Shannon? That's not the resolution.
Oh, well, then
That is the comprehensive, that's the comprehensive, that is the comprehensive EDU policy, that you are correct. That's not.
Yes.
Oh,
That's
so
not-
then Ed,
yeah.
you did.
I see
on there with
Fred's
the
report.
solicitor?
I don't see the EDU comprehensive report or the policy
Oh,
or the
how about-
resolution.
How about you do see 5B.1? You don't see that one on there?
No.
I believe so. I'm looking at the Dropbox right now.
Okay. I'll abstain.
Sorry, Mr. Ramondo, you can't abstain.
Yeah, I'd say we could always defer this to next month when everyone has a chance to review it. I don't think it's mission critical this month.
People
No, I
wanna
will
do that,
say I've
that's
had a
fine.
hard time accessing the Dropbox. Like, I don't know. I don't get the link anymore where I can just see stuff. I have to go fishing for it.
Well, perhaps that's something that Ed and Shannon can work on.
Absolutely.
I get a printed out sheet because I like to look at the paper and I make notes on it, so I did not notice that it was missing.
I found it earlier. It's there. But now I'm trying to go back and recreate it. Regardless, I don't need to slow us down. So
Okay.
Well, we did review this at the last meeting and the board actually gave direction to go forward with this. I would say we put this to the motion to a vote.
yep, I'm good with that, Carol. Kyle.
So you would need a motion and a second.
I'll make that.
I'll second. And Shannon, you have to take.
I'm going to excuse myself from the meeting. I'll catch up with you guys next time. Thanks.
Mike Felix.
2-3. That's it.
Mike, can we have a meeting now with 3 board members? Is this appropriate? I'm not sure.
Of course, you have a quorum.
We still got a quorum. We're good.
You have a quorum.
All right, I hope everything's all right.
Yeah. The only technical difficulty I'm having now is trying to recreate how I access the proper. Sorry. Go ahead, Carol. I didn't mean to slow you down.
No, no, I'm not trying to. I'm just trying to be efficient but be thorough. So whatever anybody has, I think we should go forward with this, and we have the motion, and we could take.
Carol, you have a motion and a second.
All right. So can we take the vote,
So
Shannon?
with all due respect, call the vote.
No, you can. Yes, take the vote.
Shannon.
Shannon.
Ask
Hear
for any
you.
comments and
Shannon,
then
you're
call the
muted.
vote.
Shannon.
Okay.
Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Kyle Elliott,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes.
Waiting for the next item in my report.
Yes, sir.
Okay, the next thing is the comprehensive EDU assessment policy. And this was requested. And what this is this is going to be a draft policy that once we incorporate all the comments from the authority board, we would then distribute to both the Borough of Conshohocken Borough Council and West Conshohocken Borough Council. The purpose of the comprehensive assessment report is to evaluate all EDUs for non-single family residential units on a alternating basis of every 2 years. With the odd year, we do West Conshohocken, and the even year that we would review the Borough of Conshohocken's records. The reason that we want to do this is so that single family residents are not subsidizing non-single family residents. Non-single family residents would be either a house with apartment units in it, multiple units, using one lateral, or it would be a restaurant, any other non-residential use.
Excuse me, Mike, do you mind muting yourself? Thank you. You type too well.
I thought you were just going to say you didn't want to see me hiding in the shadows again. So hold on. I'll go quiet and dark, but always available.
Okay. So really what this is, and the goal here is to do this every 2 years. So that way, as businesses, water usage and the success of their business increases, that they don't end up with a large amount of EDUs that they would have to purchase. We previously experienced this with the restaurants in Conshohocken, where we didn't evaluate it for 7 to 10 years, and all of a sudden, instead of someone having to purchase 1 or 2 EDUs per year, they were faced with a rather large bill. And the goal is that as their water usage increases, normally their business is being much more successful. They're generating income of which they can pay for these. So what we want to do with this policy is to review every non-residential customer's water consumption records compared to the EDUs that they own in there. And we would start with a baseline like we did in West Conshohocken, where we sent out letters to everyone. In Conshohocken, that was put on hold, and the actual letters weren't sent out to establish that baseline. It was slightly different in West Conshohocken because we really didn't have records of that, so we had to allocate them and allow them a chance to say, no, we purchased more and here it is, or no, as a result of the other policy that we just passed, we really don't have that much. We don't want that allocation. That was it was assigned to us, but it wasn't incorrect. So what we would do is the first thing that we would do is we review the water records compared to their allocation. And we have a 2013 baseline for Conshohocken Borough. And we had never reestablished or had anyone purchase additional EDUs. So what we would do then is we would review the water records. If there was more water usage, then we would basically prepare a letter informing them of this, prepare an analysis of this. And we would do this during the time period from March to June of each year. So odd years, we do West Conshohocken. Even years, we would do the Borough of Conshohocken. And then based on the water, so we would do water records first. We would then go to the boroughs and look at all permits that were done for 2 items. Was there a conversion of a single family house into an apartment or into a non-residential use? And the opposite is also true. Was there a conversion of a non-residential use to a single family house or an apartment complex to a single family house? So we will review all the records to see any change of uses as it went through. And after the review of the borough permits, the authority engineer would either prepare a letter summarizing the analysis and a recommended amount of capacity and whole EDUs that will be required for that property. As I previously said, this will be done in March through June. So that way we could use the full year, the full previous year, and it would be evaluating 8 quarters, and it would be based on their maximum quarterly water consumption. We would then prepare these and present these to the authority board in their July meeting. After this is reviewed by the July meeting, we would then send out a letter with authority approval to anyone that needed to purchase additional EDUs or wanted to relinquish EDUs. And then they would have 180 days to sign an updated capacity agreement requiring them to pay for these additional EDUs. The customer will be given a 30-day period to dispute the assessment. The customer will also have the opportunity to come back to the authority board to make alternative payment plans. If they needed additional time beyond the 180 days, or if it was an apartment complex and they wanted to wait till the next calendar year, they could come in and do that. And the last item is that if payment were not made within the specified time period or an agreed upon extension, then the account will be brought back to the authority board for direction for the next step. But the goal here is really to do this every 2 years to stay current with it. So that way, as businesses either change uses, because you could have a business that was a flower store today, and we would find out through the change of use that it's now a pizzeria or a laundromat, something like that that's using considerable more water. We would have no way of checking that, and people would be subsidizing, the regular customers would be subsidizing that. We also don't want it to go what happened in the past, that we wait so long between evaluations that now someone is faced with a very significant bill that's not represented. So we'd like to hear any comments from the board on this policy. And if the board is comfortable with this policy, with any revisions, that we would distribute it to the respective borough councils for their review and ask them to provide comment back to us. We want to use this as an opportunity to start open communications with both of our boroughs that we serve. And that way they're fully aware of this policy. And then we can discuss, once we receive their input back, we can then discuss how we want to implement this and when we want to start the implement of this. We did go back and review I'll call the resident or the restaurants, and it wasn't just them, but their water usage is obviously down. So now would be a fair time, almost as a reset to them, rather to basically ignore what had happened in the past. Their flows have come back down. We established their baseline, and we would send out a letter to them stating that you own 9 EDUs. You're currently using 7. You don't have to purchase any additional at this time. And then in 2 years, if their usage goes up above that 9, then they would be required. So this may be the blessing in disguise to, I don't want to say ignore, but to reset the previous letters that were sent out to the restaurants and the non-residential. Allow them a new baseline, and as their businesses grow again post-COVID, that they would pay as they go. And hopefully they do. I mean, we want them to be successful. So does the board have any comments? And hopefully the whole board got a chance to see a copy of this. While I outlined it in concept in my engineer's report, I actually prepared a 2-page policy, which is the one that I would distribute to the respective borough councils.
Well, Jane, I would like your opinion on this, whether the board members feel like they need more time to review this. So
No, I feel like this is the second time we've talked about this.
I'm just trying
Right.
to, I'm just trying
Right.
to confer with all the board members.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. And I think, again, it's an effective way to stay on top of things and to have a procedure instead of just flying by the seat of our pants. I think it makes perfect sense. So thank you for developing.
It also addresses, Jane, I believe, some of the concerns of not the borough businesses that are here. And I
The
think,
ones that from like 2-3 years ago,
yes,
when that all came up. Yes, I do
so
remember
I mean,
that.
we've
I
taken
think
that.
that's very fair, Carol. I do. I think.
Well, we took the criticism back, and we're
Right.
reproposing this and we're getting feedback. I can't believe,
Right.
I can't think of a more transparent way to do this, to
Right.
try to get input from both our boroughs.
Right. No, I think it's a great process.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Kyle, do you have any
I'm
comments
on the
this?
same page. I concur 100%.
Thank you. So do we need a motion tonight, Michael?
If you want to adopt this policy, yes.
I don't think we want to adopt the policy yet. I think
So,
we
Fred,
want to.
Sorry, Fred, I didn't mean to cut you off. Yeah, what's your next step? You
Yeah,
float that to
Thank
the
you.
various interested parties and then see what kind of feedback you get? Or how do you
What I'd like to do is roll it out to our 2 host municipalities, send it to the borough manager, ask to be distributed to all board members, ask them for maybe 60 days, it's a tough time of the year, to get any comments back, direct it back to us. And then once we receive any comments that they have in this policy, we would incorporate them. And then I think it would be appropriate for this board to adopt it by resolution, as a resolution. But I want to roll it out with getting their input and not thinking that it's a resolution, that it's a draft policy and we're looking for their input. And I think all I would need, and I'll ask Mike to correct me, is basically direction for the authority staff to forward it to the 2 borough councils and request input back in 60 days. You know,
Jane, do you think 60 days is good?
Absolutely. That gives everyone plenty of time to read it.
Okay, thank you. So you don't need a motion, you're just looking for board direction. So I'm on board. I believe Jane and Kyle are on board. So I think
Yes.
this is, I'm quite happy with what you've done with this, Fred, and I'm very happy that we're getting feedback from the boroughs. Again, Jane, I think we're trying very much to do outreach and show appropriate responsiveness to, they're not customers, because I don't like, they're our fellow,
Right.
they're a host municipality.
fellows. Yeah. They're my neighbors.
Yeah, they're our parents.
Yeah. So thank you, Fred. That's terrific.
Okay. All right, I appreciate that. Couple other items here is just to make the board aware, we did the replacement of the RBC Train C 2 years ago in December. So our maintenance period is up in December. So I will be coordinating with the authority maintenance staff to make sure there's no claims that we would make under this maintenance bond. It would be a material defect. I don't believe there is any, but we will clarify that now that 2 years is coming up, because that will expire in December. On the liner projects, I'm happy to report that the final survey work is going to be completed at the treatment plant tomorrow to have our easements, and we will be able to get that started, and we can get that out to bid. Next item is just an update on the Freely Square sewer sag. The last survey work for that easement was also completed on November 17th, and we'll have legal descriptions and plot plans in order to obtain that easement the first week of December. That's really, there's a sag that's out there. However, there was no dedicated easement, so we can't go in and repair it without getting an easement across that parking lot. So we'll do that. As directed at last meeting, the odor control media replacement was publicly bid. It's out for bid still on pen bid, electronic bidding, and bids are due on December 10th. I apologize, I did miss that in my engineer's report, but that is out being publicly bid, and we will receive bids on December 10th, so we can award at our December authority meeting.
I have a question about that. Do you think prices are going to go up substantially for that service?
It's hard to say because I don't really monitor the odor control media, but we already have prices in, and the prices that we.
But this is just charcoal. We don't use the permanganate anymore.
That's correct. It's just that.
Okay.
So
Right.
I think we're going to be well in there. We actually have prices. Ed actually got prices, and it's hard because I have 4 other odor control systems, but they're all such different sizes. And I always do it as a lump sum because it's not really on a per cubic yard or per square foot, because a lot of it's labor intensive to remove the old media, clean it, power wash it, and install the media. So the media is the cheaper part of it. It's more the removal and disposal than anything else.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to remove a whole bunch of stinky charcoal either, so.
And hopefully
But at least it's not permanganate. That would be more expensive. I forgot about that. So that's
significantly more.
Yeah.
And a lot of it comes down to, and I'm surprised they haven't, that I think some of that will come out, is that if it gets wet, it's very hard to get out. If it stays fluffy, it's very easy and they factor it right out. So I'm assuming that the contractors are going to come out and take a look at that before they bid on it. And we don't really know. I don't think it's in bad shape, quite honestly.
Okay. Thanks.
Let's see. Yep. And then just some quick short updates on developer projects. Sora West was sent a letter to Keystone Property Group notifying of the issue with the connection to sanitary sewer main. We did not notify the contractor directly because our contractors really are contractual relationship is with the developer, and we can't direct his contractor what to do. But we are following up with the contractor just so he's aware of it, and he can follow up directly with them as well. The next item is Maximil Apartments. We did recommend plan approval by letter dated October 30th, and they've actually already submitted shop drawings for that. So I assume that they are moving full speed ahead on Maximil. Next item is 400 Bar Harbor in West Conshohocken. We have received revised plans as well as a construction cost estimate for review. So it appears that they are definitely going forward on that project. We are coordinating with the solicitor's office on the fact that the number of EDUs, according to our policy, is going to be higher than their planning module approval. And part of this is this was a project that was kind of started before we bought West Conshohocken, and the planning module was approved by West Conshohocken for a lower flow amount. I don't think it's going to become an issue, but I want to make you aware of it. My staff, John Vito, brought it to my attention today. So we sent out an email to Mike and Lawrence, the solicitor's office, just asking them, A, are there any grandfathered EDUs on this property? And B, just to make them aware of the fact that West Conshohocken signed off on a planning module that wasn't consistent with how we calculate EDUs doesn't commit us in any way. And the last item is just to set the train station. We issued a review letter dated November 9th, so that's moving through. So all the projects are pleasantly moving through to construction, which is good to see in COVID. I haven't seen any of them really get mothballed. So that completes my report, unless the board has any questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Fred?
No, thank you, Fred, for keep it moving with that pace.
Yes.
Fred's been doing an excellent job. So
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it, Fred. Do I hear
I
a
appreciate
motion
it. Thank you.
first of all, do I hear a motion to accept the engineer's report?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
And Shannon, go ahead.
Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Kyle Elliott,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes.
Now, before we go on to the operations manager's report, the December meeting is scheduled for December 22nd. I don't know if you want to change it.
We have in the past. I'd like to hear from Jane and Kyle.
Yeah, I would. I mean, but I'm not sure what you're looking at.
Probably the week before, Shannon. I believe we did that last year. Is that correct?
Yeah, we could do that at
11th.
Double meeting and, you know, maybe around the, I don't know. Jane, I defer to you.
I defer to you as well, Jane.
I'm okay. The 15th.
I would be
the
16th. I would have a council meeting.
Yeah, I was going to say the 16th isn't good for me.
Okay. The 17th would be okay for me.
Is the 15th a Tuesday?
The 15th is a Tuesday. The 17th is a Thursday.
Shannon, can you send out an email to all the board members tomorrow?
And ask them about the 15th or the 17th?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
And then I'll also, are we going to pay bills that day and then at the end of the month like we did last year? Or how do you want to do the bills?
Probably pay them that day, right, Carol? It's up
I
to
would think so. I believe we've done that
just so we're
before.
not running behind.
Okay, so we'll pay what we can by then and then do another check run at the end of the month.
We will have to do it because I believe that's
Okay.
how we handled it last year.
Yeah.
Is that correct? I believe we handled it that.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. I thought so, but
All right, so the 15th and the 17th. All right.
all right.
If at all possible, if we could do the 17th, it would be better for me, but it doesn't matter. I can have John Vito handle this on the, let me just make sure I'm right.
Shannon, for me, whatever date works for everybody else is
Yeah.
fine.
17th is good for me, Fred.
Yeah, 17th would be a preference. I have another authority meeting on the 15th. And they're still doing their well. So you guys are still
Mike,
doing your
will you-
budget, so.
Mr. Clark, do you think you'll be able to be there on the 17th if we change the meeting from the 22nd?
I think we can figure it out.
Okay, thank you. All right, that's a good, Shannon, can you work on that and just work on making sure that the booklet for the next time is appropriately in Dropbox and all the sections in ordered, and I'm not sure what happened that people
Yeah.
can't seem to find stuff.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the Dropbox because when I open it up, it's all there. I'm going to talk to Mike Doherty.
Okay, well,
Because-
please do that because, you know, I don't want anyone to be upset about this, but, you know, I look at the board packet before the meeting, so I was versed in these documents, so. We accepted the engineer's report. Are we on to Ed? I think it's
Yes.
the time for you.
Okay. All right, following up from the last meeting, I asked about bringing somebody in to help us locate our force main from West Conshohocken. So I found out the PA Rural Water Association offers free pipe locating service. I know I was talking to Fred about it earlier. I'm not sure what their method was, but Vinny is still comparing their measurements with the diagram we had before. So the verdict's not in on that yet, but hopefully it will be soon. And he's got actual measurements now to go off of. So I looked at the map that Vinny kind of threw together, and it looks pretty similar to what we suspected it to be. So we have to get out there and really just follow the measurements and mark it.
Ed, I think we have some pretty good ideas where we dug it up and we went over it on as part of the map or the 51 Washington. So I would compare their field locations to our notes. And in the invoices that we send you every month, there are inspection records, and they're actually detailed in those daily inspection records.
Okay.
Shannon, you are getting the inspection records of their invoices, correct?
There is one with it. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
usually
only
like
certain
a
developer
separate-
jobs.
Yeah, it's like a separate attachment.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm just following up with that. Fred talked about the surveyors coming out. Our new hire, Dustin, he has an appointment. He was finally able to make one because they're really backed up. His appointment's not till December 23rd to take his actual road test for his CDL. So I believe they update that every Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday at like 12:25 in the afternoon for some reason. So we're going to keep on top of that. Something else, it really doesn't affect this month, but I just wanted to kind of put it on the radar for, it'll probably show up in the collections report next month. We've been getting a really large increase in Pennsylvania one call tickets in the last week or so. And they had this weird marking for the job description or type of work as BSSR. So I called the number on the ticket and it came up as bare steel service replacement, which means they're replacing a lot of old service lines going to the gas meters. So Marty was talking to a guy out in the field while marking these. We've got probably well over 50 of them in the last couple of days. And we've been averaging just over 70 a month for the last couple of months. Marty said he was talking to a guy. He said we should probably expect at least 240 of them coming in. So that's going to take a nice chunk out of our collections guys' time, and I just wanted to put it on the radar. That was all.
That Ed, is that because of all the construction that's going on?
I believe it looks to me just from some of the addresses I looked at, 'cause when they keep coming in on my phone, I'm like, what's going on in town here? They just seem to be little clusters of residential places in town.
Huh.
I mean, there was some on, I
Is
noticed
that
on Maple
unusual,
Street.
Fred? I'm just curious. Is this unusual?
No, not at all. They go through and they replace it based on the age of their infrastructure. They have certain requirements that they have to replace services when they get a certain as part of their overall PUC filing. So they just and it's not unusual to get it on an area. So they'll bid it out and bring a crew in. They'll do Conshohocken.
Got it.
The next year they'll do West Conshohocken. Then they'll do
Okay.
Plymouth. So they just pick out an area. So when you get one, you're going to get a ton. It's very common.
Okay, I just wanted to, so Jane, you understand, it looks like they're picking out our area, and that's why this is going to be happening now.
Yep.
Like it's routine maintenance.
Yeah.
How many years they have to replace the pipes.
Yep.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify it for you guys, so, okay.
Okay, and the other thing I had was just an update on the emergency response team that I'm working with the borough on. I'm going through all of our SDSs and what we're trying, our safety data sheets. I'm not used to saying it without the M in front of it anymore, but so what I'm doing is I'm going through them, I'm updating them, I'm trying to weed out some of the ones of stuff that we no longer have on site anymore. I'm trying to make sure we have the most current versions, and I'm forwarding them up to the codes inspector up at the borough, and she's entering them into the Blaze Mark system for us. So I'm still, I still have a nice pile of them here laid out in the room here I'm going through. So just trying to knock out a little bit each day. So I believe once they get that stuff entered in, that
how are you doing this, Ed? Are you just looking up the MSD sheets and sending the email links for that?
Well, we have a huge binder, and it's mounted right in the break room.
We can talk about this offline. I'm just wondering if those MSDS sheets are actually. Sorry, this is what I used to do. So I'm just wondering if they're all up to date. You may be overdoing it with. There might be more there than you need, or if it's not up to date. So it's just something to think about. You don't want to send the borough MSD sheets for stuff that we don't have.
Exactly, and that's what I'm doing.
Okay, good.
I'm weeding through them, and there's a lot of duplicates there. So we just got buffer solution in for the lab test, and that came with a brand new set. So I'm just obviously that one goes to the top of the pile. The old ones go out. So, and I don't know if you understood in my report. I came up with an updated site map for the plant. I made a list of all of our buildings and structures. It's included in my report.
Yeah, you did. You put a photo in too. It was good.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah. So the idea with that is whenever I send a SDS to the borough, I mark the cover sheet with a number that represents where on that map that material would be found. Just kind of like if a first responder is coming out to a building, they could have an advance warning of what they're getting into when they're in their buildings.
Terrific. That's really good information to have.
And if there's no questions, that concludes my report.
Ed, thank you. Do I hear a motion to accept the operations report?
So moved.
I'll second. Can I second myself? I don't think I can. Jane, can you second me?
Sure. I'll second that.
All right, Shannon.
Flanagan.
Yes.
Carl Elliott.
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes. All right. Does anyone have any questions on the collection and maintenance report? If not, do I hear a motion to accept the collections and maintenance report?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Jane Flanagan.
Yes.
Kyle Elliott.
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes. All right, I believe that's it. Do I hear a motion to say, what do we say? Say goodnight. I'm sorry, I'm tired.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Thank you. I'm glad we have lawyers on the board. I really am.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Okay.
Shannon?
Jane Flanagan, Kyle Elliott,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes. And I thank you all for your time and attendance tonight. I know we have a lot of work to get done by the end of the year, and I appreciate you putting in the time and energy for this. So thank you.
Well, thank all of you for all your good work and hard work, and everyone take care and have a great Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Kyle.
Stay safe and have a great Thanksgiving.
Everybody
See you guys.
Bye.
Hey,
Good
Fred,
everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Fred, what are you naming the dog?
I don't know. I just found out about it. So that will be a discussion. Hopefully it's still a litter, so we don't know. It won't arrive until spring, till this spring. So we just put the deposit down in the litter.
Okay. I will have forgotten about it by then, so you can remind me.
Oh, I'll remind you. Don't worry about it.
All right.
See you guys.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah.